Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Yesterday, I had the displeasure of publishing a video highlighting that the SEC has new claims that XRP itself is a security. It's completely ridiculous, and I articulated a ton of reasons why, so I'm not going to rehash everything, though I will set the table just a little bit just to make sure everybody's caught up to speed. The good news is, despite this being the case, it doesn't actually change the legal status of XRP. This has nothing to do with the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit, and it actually, believe it or not, it doesn't even have anything to do with the appeal. It literally has nothing to do with secondary market transactions with people like you and I buying cryptocurrencies on an exchange. But derivatives, well, that's where it gets a little hairy, apparently. I'll explain in just a second here for those of you who hadn't been caught up to speed yet. But I've got some updates for you, including perspective from attorney John Deaton. At the time I published the video yesterday, attorney Deaton had not yet spoken publicly about this, but given the extreme impact that attorney Deaton has had, of course, to the positive in the SEC v. Ripple case, and how he himself has been battling the SEC for years, I want to make sure you all get to hear exactly what he had to say, because he shared a post on X. I've also got perspective from two other attorneys within the XRP community. That would be attorney Bill Morgan and attorney James Murphy. And you'll see one of the themes throughout this video is the fact that the SEC is making ridiculously arbitrary decisions to the detriment of all of us here in crypto land that are just trying to better ourselves financially. And there are other cases which have recently dropped, and we got to talk about this. One of them I haven't had the opportunity to even mention yet on my channel. But the degree to which the SEC is off the rails is insane, and we knew that. But it's been increasing. It's been increasing under the current administration at a time when, presidential candidate Harris is paying lip service to crypto. She's barely even doing that, though, to be honest with you. She's like, yeah, well, something on so and so forth. I'm paraphrasing here, but forge a path forward for artificial intelligence and digital assets, blah, blah, blah. And that was pretty much it. That's pretty much it. There you go. That's it. My God. If we have to deal with another 4 to 8 years of this crap, oh, dear Lord help me. So anyway, I'll get you all caught up to speed here, but before going any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so just a minimal amount of table setting, and then I'm going to get right into what attorney Deaton had to say. Here was the headline yesterday. Bitnomial sues SEC over claim that XRP is a security. Crypto exchange Bitnomial sued the United States Securities and Exchange Commission and its 5 commissioners, accusing the agency of overextending its jurisdiction over digital assets by claiming that XRP is a security. And folks, I'll pause to note, this is just the most clear piece of evidence, aside from the Ripple case, that the SEC is attacking anything and everything that has to do with the XRP ecosystem, period. Full stop. That is what they're doing. This is just another way to do it. Because anything that's good for XRP, I mean, that's bad for you and I, right? And it's also bad for the SEC's arch nemesis Ripple, so hammer it all, right? That's what they're doing. And if anybody else gets caught in the crossfire, so be it. That's their attitude. Bitnomial claimed in an October 10th suit filed in an Illinois federal court that XRP is already registered as a commodity, and the SEC asserts jurisdiction over a product that is already regulated by and subject to the exclusive jurisdiction of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. So there you go. Registered, regulated as a commodity, but the SEC wants it to be regulated as a security, even though you know what just happened in the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. Didn't go so well for them. And so I don't really need to read the rest of this, but I'll just know this. One of the pieces of information that they sent over to Bitnomial, which prompted them to sue the SEC, it was Judge Torres's decision. And then they leave out the fact that the Judge Torres herself declared that XRP itself is not a security. But they were putting that forth as though it were something that would support the SEC's position of, yeah, you need to be, if you're going to sell these futures, these XRP futures, you need to come in here and get registered, because those XRP futures transactions, those are illegal securities transactions otherwise. Because, and mind you, again, to be clear, like I just said, we are talking futures transactions for this particular exchange. That's what they do. They're not trading actual XRP. And so they're attacking that. It's another aspect of the XRP ecosystem. So here's what Attorney John Deaton had to say on this. I fought Gary Gensler's SEC on behalf of 75,000 XRP token holders, including 627 here in Massachusetts. I did it all pro bono and spent $75,000 of my own money prosecuting the case. Every time I believed the SEC couldn't degrade itself any further, the lawyers at the SEC proved me wrong. A lifelong Democrat judge appointed by Barack Obama agreed with me and relied on some of the evidence and briefing that I provided to the court. The judge clearly ruled XRP itself is not a security, just as I and others said she would. During the case, the lawyers at the SEC were found by a federal judge to, quote, lack faithful allegiance to the law, end quote. She also called them a bunch of hypocrites who would say anything just to win an argument. So I'll pause and note, that was my favorite part of the entire SEC v. Ripple case. This was, because it was so scathing. That came from Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn. And it was all, if my memory's not mistaken, that the part where she was saying that they're acting in a hypocritical way, they're hypocrites, and when she said that they lack a faithful allegiance to the law, I think that was all in the same paragraph. It was just, it's pure magic. I really enjoyed covering that. So at that point, and this is before we had, of course, the final decision in the case, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, the judges here are seeing through the SEC's BS. And you know that Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn, the little helper judge, she obviously was in conversation with Judge Torres. So I kind of thought, well, if Sarah Netburn feels this way, then probably Judge Torres isn't that far off, and they can probably see through this crap. And oh, yes, they were. So that part actually was delightful to see. But anyway, John continues. After that case, the SEC was found by an appellate court to have acted arbitrary and capricious, one of the hardest legal standards to meet. Okay, let's go pause here to say more on the fact that the SEC continues to act completely irrationally, unreasonably, in an arbitrary manner. Attorney Morgan kind of hammered that point home. I'm going to cycle over to him after we go through the rest of this post. But yeah, it's completely ridiculous. Attorney Morgan, he goes through 3 different new SEC legal happenings right now. You'll see in just a second here. It's pretty ridiculous, though. And then he says, finally, in the debt box case, the SEC was sanctioned by a federal judge for intentionally lying to the court. Keyword intentionally, folks. As well as committing other misconduct. The SEC is now ignoring reality, as well as a court ruling to continue its unethical behavior. Where's the outrage from senators sitting on the banking committee overseeing the SEC? Where is Senator Warren? Wait, I forgot. She doesn't want to place Gary Gensler in a tough spot, and that's a quote, in a tough spot, those are her words, despite that being the precise thing she's supposed to do. But she is good at telling Gensler what to say under oath. As a special assistant United States attorney, I prosecuted a case of supporting perjury with much less evidence than this. And by the way, he's not kidding. It literally is the case that, this is so ridiculous, for a Senate hearing, Senator Warren gave questions and answers to her questions to Gary Gensler to use ahead of the whole thing. It was a song and dance, and she got found out. She actually did that. She just wants to take this whole thing down, and then all of the other banks, which, you know, when she got in office, she was running for office originally, she was allegedly against the banks. They're her best buddies. But she does want to take down crypto. How about that? Motivating factors. So, of course, Attorney Deaton knocks that out of the park, and it's good to hear his perspective on this. And he's so busy, I appreciate that he took the time to share his perspective with the XRP community. Because obviously, again, he's running for Senate. He's a wee bit busy. You know, we're in the final weeks of the campaign here for him, and he's got a debate coming up in a few days with Senator Warren. I look forward to seeing that. So here is what Attorney Bill Morgan of the XRP community had to say. He's got a few things, and this goes back to what I was saying just a few minutes ago. There's a bit of arbitrary action that the SEC's been taking, and my God, Attorney Morgan does a great job just calling this out. So check this out. The complaints of Crypto.com and Bitnomial are further examples of the crypto industry participants who are complaining against being on the wrong side of arbitrary conduct of the SEC. there is also the SEC's complaint against Cumberland. It has been a busy 2 days. Okay, so I'll pause to note, I have talked about Bitnomial. That's the one that, I started talking about it in this video too. That's the one where they're taking a proactive stance, actually attacking the SEC, suing the SEC for claiming that XRP itself is a security, despite what Judge Torres found. That I'm glad they're bringing the heat. Super duper. I also talked the other day about the Crypto.com case, but I haven't had a chance yet to talk about Cumberland. So we're going to talk about all three here because that's what Attorney Morgan runs through. So number one is the Bitnomial v. SEC case. Here's what he had to say. The Bitnomial XRP futures contract, of course, is being arbitrarily treated differently than were Ether and Bitcoin futures contracts. As the CEO of Bitnomial, Luke Horston, stated in a post, quote, "We want to introduce U.S. digital asset derivatives beyond Bitcoin and ETH. The courts have determined XRP is not a security in secondary market transactions, and it's the natural next asset to list. The SEC will not accept their loss." End quote. The SEC prefers to limit U.S. digital asset derivatives to Bitcoin and Ether. And just sit tight because you guys remember the Ethereum, Billy Boy Hinman Ethereum Free Pass speech from 2018, where ETH just got to skate on along. Well, there's some additional evidence to support that now. Just sit tight. Attorney Morgan highlights it. But then there was a second case, and this is the one that I hadn't had a chance to mention yet. This is the Cumberland case. Here we go. Here's from CoinDesk. SEC sues crypto market maker Cumberland DRW. This is from 2 days ago. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission said Cumberland DRW was an unregistered securities dealer in a lawsuit Thursday, alleging the crypto market maker bought and sold cryptocurrencies that were sold as unregistered securities. The SEC alleged that Cumberland used its research reports and update emails to promote investments in different cryptocurrencies, naming Polygon's, formerly Matic, Solana's Cosmos, but anyway, they named a few others. So they named it those cryptos as ones that were sold as securities. Quote, public statements by the issuers and promoters of the Cumberland traded assets, including statements retransmitted by Cumberland and by the third-party crypto asset trading platforms that Cumberland uses, would have led objective investors to reasonably view the offer to purchase or sell of each of the Cumberland traded assets offers to purchase and sell investment contracts, which are securities pursuant to the federal securities laws, the SEC complaint said. So whittle that down. Basically what they're saying is, I mean, it's kind of like the embodiment theory. It represents it. You should have just known it, right? The asset itself is the security. That's what the SEC is still arguing. And this is after the SEC effectively apologized. Well, technically what they said, they regret confusion after using the term, a crypto asset security, digital asset security, and all forms of that particular non-existent term, but they just used it anyway. Confusing the market. But here they're making these claims. Anyway, piece continues. These investors expected to profit, the SEC alleged. However, Cumberland did not register as a securities dealer. So there you go. There's yet another one. So check this out. Here's what Attorney Morgan had to say in the SEC v. Cumberland case. Then there's the case of Cumberland, whom the SEC has charged with operating as an unregistered dealer in more than $2 billion of crypto assets offered and sold as securities. Cryptos that are singled out in the SEC's complaint against Cumberland include Matic, Solana, Algorand, Filecoin, and Atom. Cumberland says it was forced by the SEC, despite objection, to obtain a broker-dealer license, but told in 2019 by the SEC they could only trade Bitcoin or Ethereum. Well, isn't that something special there? So look, let's pause to say, we already know, even though Bitcoin doesn't technically have legal clarity at all, it just doesn't, it's about 100% chance that there isn't going to be an SEC attack on that. We're too far past that. It ain't going to happen. Maybe if they find out who Satoshi is, they'd come back. I mean, I'm not counting on that, but I'm just saying. So that's safe. And then you're telling me the only other one that the SEC was saying is safe is ETH. So wait, they do have an opinion? They had an opinion half a decade ago? What? I thought that the SEC hadn't ruled on anything. But here they are telling Cumberland those are the two, Bitcoin and ETH, and that's it. Those are the only ones? The chosen ones? But not XRP, not even today, after XRP now has legal clarity? Even today? Isn't that curious? And that was a year, because again, they said 2019. That's a year after the Billy Boy Hinman Ethereum Free Pass speech. And so then that's what Attorney Morgan points out. He says, which incidentally confirms that the Hinman speech did reflect the SEC's formal position on Ethereum not being a security, the lies it told to the court in SEC v. Ripple about it being Hinman's own opinion. That's right. It was just his opinion, right? In reality, we know better, don't we? And then he says, more evidence of arbitrary preferential treatment of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then we have, third here, Forest Dax Inc., which is Crypto.com. So it's Crypto.com v. SEC. He says, in its complaint, Crypto.com alleges that despite the functional similarities between the tokens on its platform that the SEC alleges were crypto asset securities compared to Bitcoin and Ether, the SEC does not treat the alleged crypto asset securities the same way it treats Bitcoin or Ether. Oh, well, how special for Bitcoin and ETH? Oh, that's a special rule to you. Crypto.com alleges this arbitrary treatment remains the case even though secondary market sales of the alleged crypto asset securities on its platform are legally and commercially indistinguishable from secondary market sales of Bitcoin and Ether. Exactly. It doesn't matter if it's XRP or Filecoin or Algorand. It doesn't matter what the hell it is. It's just alphanumeric code. That's it. That's that. And it's so disgusting because the SEC even acknowledged that. They acknowledged that specifically about XRP. But still, nope. Only two that have the green light from the SEC, Bitcoin and ETH, even though neither of them technically has the green light. They're just acting that way and telling people that in non-binding situations. That's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing here. Really grinds my gears, son. Anyway, Attorney Morgan continues. The arbitrary treatment by the SEC of Ether and Bitcoin compared to other cryptos is causing a regulatory nightmare and distortion of the crypto market. It is little wonder Crypto.com took the step after receiving Wells' notice of filing a complaint seeking a declaration that the secondary market sales of the alleged crypto asset securities, such as Solana, are not securities transactions. One day, the nightmare will end. One can only hope, indeed. Then we had this post. This is from attorney James Murphy of the XRP community, aka Metal Law Man. DRW, so he's talking about Cumberland here. Cumberland is a DRW company. So he says, DRW is a large, successful trading operation that has been around for over 30 years. They have the wherewithal to fight the SEC. DRW took Gary Gensler's invitation to come in and register, and it backfired on them, as it has every other crypto player. Think about that, folks. And he's right. Every single crypto player that came in, because, just come in and register, have a little talk with us. Those are the ones that get attacked. Think about Library. Why would they have gone after Library? That's a tiny project. Why would they? Is it just chance that they picked that? No. It's because Jeremy Kauffman and all the Library crew, they were trying to be on the up and up. They're like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's the transparency. And then they get sued. And now Library doesn't exist. The coin still exists because it's decentralized, but the firm that was actually putting forth various efforts developing, they're gone. They're absolutely gone. Come in and register is, like Brad Garlinghouse said, it's for the SEC, it's lead generation. It's like a sales pipeline for the SEC to go sue people. That's what it is. Come in and register. So Cumberland did that, and it bit them on the rear side too. Go figure. Is anyone surprised? But like Attorney Morgan said, one day this is all going to end. It might just take a hot minute. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.